Hey guys, Costa here for OzGamers, and we are playing Mortal Kombat, and this is the Super Nintendo release, the first of two home console versions we're going to play, and so this came out in 1993, which is a year after the arcade game, and Nintendo being Nintendo, they were able to get Midway and Acclaim to actually remove the blood from Mortal Kombat. And for anyone that played Mortal Kombat in arcades without blood, it's kinda not very good. I mean, all the moves were there, it's just that there's no blood. And in place of blood is this brown stuff, which is apparently sweat. Raiden wins. As far as fighting games go, Mortal Kombat kind of came around the scene around the same time as Street Fighter 2, a bit afterwards, became as popular, but in terms of the fighting mechanics, it's nowhere near as polished as Street Fighter. As you can see, I was doing just silly sweep moves there to win. But in terms of the variety of moves between the different characters, every character kind of has the same upcut move, same sweep move, same kick move, and then they have kind of just 2 or 3 moves. Like Sub-Zero has his freeze move, Scorpion has his get over here move, Raiden has his flying at them move, and a lightning move. This is kind of hard to do with this controller. So when the Super Nintendo version came out, people were naturally upset that it didn't have blood, and many kind of didn't. It sold in the millions, and some people were actually surprised that it didn't have blood, and were expecting that there was actually a code like there was on the Mega Drive version to actually get all the blood and all the fatalities, and there wasn't, which kind of made it a purchase that a lot of people kind of regretted, or maybe not purchase, but they got it as presents. Let's go good old Scorpion. So it's a pretty limited game. Although the Super Nintendo version, as you can see, is kind of pretty close to the arcade release. Except it doesn't really have a lot of the sound effects or the voices. So the get over here is not there, and a bunch of other things. That was because of the limitations of the cartridge. But by the time of Mortal Kombat 2 release, everything was pretty much arcade perfect. Everything was there, and that was a much better game overall. Actually had a lot of variety between the fighters, and wasn't as kind of limited as this, the first release. I keep forgetting how to do the fatalities. The fatalities were kind of hard to pull off, but even in this version, the Super Nintendo version without blood, they are pretty lame. So Kano's, I think, heart ripping out fatality kind of is like he just puts their hand in their chest with no blood and pulls out nothing or something. I mean, that's how lazy it was. And Sub-Zero, who would freeze them and then uppercut them, and then they'd explode into like ice and blood. Pretty much just ice in this version. It's pretty lame. This is the Super Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat, and I mean, it does look like the arcade version, but when you take the blood out, it's just a not very good game. Okay guys, and this is the Mega Drive version. As you can see, the music kind of sounds different. The Mega Drive didn't have, the graphics weren't as good as the Super Nintendo overall, but this version's got blood, which makes all the difference. see the character select screen. Not as many colours as the Super Nintendo version. It's kind of like an EGA version. And everything kind of looks slightly off. Not as good as the arcade release. Everything looks like this, like round one. The fight's slightly different. The crowd looks weird. But check that out. Whoa, blood. And just makes it a million times better game. But Mortal Kombat overall was kind of like a very simple game, like you just learn the move and kind of just do it over and over again. And there really wasn't much balance to the whole thing because see that move? Like that. It'll take like 20% of his entire health. I can't remember Scorpion's fatality. I think it was just up something, up punch or hold up block or something like that. Pulls his mask off and burns them to death and they scream. It's one of the funnier ones. In subsequent games, like every character had like a couple of fatalities. Then by the third game, I think was when they introduced, or even the second game, babalities, where you turn them into babies, and it just became kind of silly. And then there was Ultimate Mortal Kombat, and kind of series kind of just went a little bit too crazy. All the graphics in Mortal Kombat were, you know, actors actually photographed and things like that. And Sub-Zero and Scorpion, one's blue, one's yellow, so it was basically just the same actor, and they just colorized to save money. Sidekick to the head. Not the greatest finish him, but it'll do. The stages in this Mega Drive version do look really different to the Super Nintendo one and the Super Nintendo one, which looks very similar to the arcade. So like this stage here, like just lacks the detail as the arcade version or even the Super Nintendo release. But even so, this is the better version of 2, even though it's got 3 buttons too. But it has blood. Sonya wins. And it's Goro there at the back, the boss. God, that looks so weird on the Mega Drive. That sounds crazy. Oh, I lost. Oh well, there you have it. That's Mortal Kombat on the Super Nintendo and the Mega Drive, with the Mega Drive being the better version, even though it doesn't look anywhere near as good, but it's got the blood, which the Super Nintendo version doesn't. Johnny Cage. Don't remember any of his moves. They were kind of like everybody had like the same moves, like forward, back, forward, and kind of copying the Street Fighter method of moves, but they all had like 1 or 2 moves each. It's Johnny Cage doing the splits, which is a nod to Van Damme. And having like real actors posing for the moves kind of like makes it look a little bit robotic with all the missing frames of animation and kind of clunky. Oh, there we go, stage fatality.